weeks out from Chicago Pro. Good morning, because it's definitely morning for me. I'm going to take you today through what I eat in a day on my off day. And this is also my check-in day, my midweek check-in day. So go through like the morning routine, meal by meal. I'll assess where I'm currently at. And I think likely is going to be a refeed day landing on an off day. So we'll also talk about why that's happening. And feeling pretty lean and mean and pulled down. So I just, there's my scale. We just weighed in, 218.2. So body weight low for me. Definitely had some quick movement over this past week, just on Saturday, which was, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 3 days later, I'm 218.2. So yeah, quite a bit of movement. And for being 5 weeks out, like I don't need to be moving that quick at this point, especially when we look at the visuals here in a bit, see like I'm really close. So more food today is gonna probably make sense, but we'll take some pics and go from there. Of course, first thing we come over to is coffee in the morning. We don't wait on that, do we, Renee?
Never.
Immediately get up, coffee's in place. Also have my lipolytics that we're taking. So this will be Clen Yohimbine, my thyroid supplement I do take mid-sleep so I can have my coffee right away, because coffee does impede absorption of your thyroid. So we'll get these in. Usually do some emails for about the next 45 minutes to an hour, then get to posing. Well, actually, I'll take my update pics first and then get to posing. So one thing we do in the morning on check-in day is caliper sites. Reason being is it's an objective measure just to track over time, to track the timeline of a prep. And we don't take official sites. People ask me like, how do you do this one site, or what do you use? I got these from ISSA from like 15 years ago, so nothing special, but I track my glute, my lower back, and my subscap, as those are my fattest sites, and those are the ones that really are last to come in and get conditioned. On Renee, we track her quad, her glute, and her lower back. So we monitor those sites. It's just one other tool to track, but I know once I get to a certain caliper point that I'll be stage lean. But the big thing here is like just going off,
thank you, sir,
the visuals, and that's what really matters. So I want to actually show you my booty, but Renee can give it a pinch. My lower. Okay, caliper site's done. We are now doing check-in pics. We're in Renee's closet, and I know I've shown this setup before, but people keep asking about it. So I have this is a Canon R7 DSLR camera set up, and then I shoot, with it's about 8 feet from the camera, but also we just have like the overhead lighting are just regular light bulbs, but they are daylight bulbs. So I think it's like a 5600 lumen. Again, if you look at where the bulb is, we have one bulb that's actually out, but where the bulb is to where we stand is probably like 5 feet back. So that way you don't have a lot of overhead light. It does give you pretty honest lighting. Now, if you're very detailed, like conditioned, just step in between these lights and you'll cast a bit more shadow and can start picking up the finer details of when you are conditioned. So I've actually been shooting both, and I'll show you the difference. Once we do get to the check-in, I'll show you how the difference actually looks of what you might see. But once you get conditioned, you might need some overhead light along with your standardized lighting you've been using for a while. So anyway, that's the setup. We'll take pics and then we'll do a check-in. Oh, and one thing I did forget is like we do have this setting, that's where I stand, but then behind me is a mirror. So I do get to still help with seeing myself set up a pose just for check-ins. All right, so I'm in the posing room. Sorry about the echo. It has been up for an hour and a half, so did my check-ins, had some coffee, got hydrated, and now I'll do posing. So for right now, for my posing, I'm doing 3 rounds of continuous posing, which holding each pose about 7 to 10 seconds. That takes me about 9 minutes to go through, and it's intense posing. And then I'll take a rest from there, and then I go back for another 3 rounds of posing. And by the time I step into peak week, I'll be doing 4 rounds, 2 4-round sessions, which, that should be like 11 minutes straight of posing, which it's rare you'll ever have to do that much on stage. And I like to do this in the morning after I've had some hydration. It's, for one, you're gonna have your best concentration in the morning. Posing is a skill that requires definitely fine motor skill. You want to have a high ability to learn the poses correctly. So you don't want to have a very high fatigue state. Like you could do in post training, that would be fine. But you don't want to be so fatigued that you're not hitting the poses correctly, because this is the main skill you're going to display on stage. Also in the morning, it's pretty reflective how you might feel during prejudging. It's rare that you're like exploding full on stage and you can feel every contraction of the muscle. A lot of times you're going to have a degree of being flat going on stage, so you're conditioned enough. So it does resemble some of that as well. So go through these posing sessions. Then from there, we'll go straight into my walking for the day. But let's do a little posing. This is my posing room. Blacked out walls. We have some big mirrors here, a mirror to see behind, which if you are looking at it, you can see the mirror that's across. Then of course we have our beautiful pool and patio for a nice view. It gets pretty washed out in here because there's a lot of daylight, so it makes me look like super pasty, which I'm super pasty anyway. But we can walk through some of these poses. Normally I have music going. If you want some great music to pose to during this, put your routine on. I put emphasis here on just hitting the mandatories and transitions. I see people practice their routine way too much when you're not getting judged on it, and they don't even hit the transitions right in their main mandatories during their quarter turns. And when they're in the lineup, like that's essential. That's where you're really gonna get judged. So there's a balance of routine work, absolutely, for your posing routine, but your main thing is that you're nailing your posing and your transitions, and those are done correctly. So anyway, post this music that you get motivated to. Maybe that's your music you do in your routine. For one, Prince, sorry, not Prince, what am I talking about? Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen, they have great music to pose to. It's like energizing, motivating, but whatever gets you fired up is what I would pose to. So I set my timer and just walk through my poses. Remember, as you're practicing your posing, just like you are on stage, no difference, that much intensity, being able to hold your poses steady like you're a statue. Your transitions, exactly how you want to do them on stage. Everything should mimic that. There's no lazy part of this. Once it gets lazy in the session, do a second session from there. Okay, meal one for the day. So looking at the visuals currently, I've definitely pulled down a lot this week. I was 218.2 this morning, and being that we are coming up on now 4 weeks out, it gives me a better picture of what needs to happen. For one, conditioning wise, there's just a little bit more off my glutes to go, probably 2-3 pounds. So if I can pull that off in the next 2 weeks, just slowly bring it down, and then I'll be sitting around this like kind of 215, maybe 214 mark. 2 weeks out, I can bring calories to maintenance. Then once I get into peak week, all it'll be to make weight will be, for one, reduction in compounds that hold water, yohimbine, growth hormone, testosterone. That's going to pull weight down some. Then also the day prior to weigh-ins, removing all fiber. And then the day of weigh-ins, it might be just eat as I need before I actually get to the scale. So that's kind of like my tentative plan. But at least now, for like the rate that I'm moving at over the past few days has been fast. So I want to make sure I'm also upholding training performance and making sure I have enough carbohydrates going into training. So I'm about to have a 3-day streak of training. So to hit a refeed day on my off day, store some glycogen, and then move that into the next training day, which is push, is my first session, which I see the biggest drop off on. Should be really good to uphold that performance. So, diet-wise, we're going to go through it all today. This is meal one. Initially, I have about 150 grams of carbs on my off days. That will pretty much maintain my weight. So, going to make about a 25% increase in calories for the day. And I'll give the total macros we end up at the very end of the video. But for this first meal, you're going to see a lot of food variety in what I do for multiple reasons. For one, preference, but I truly believe that a more healthy diet, a more complete diet is going to be one that has variety. So for enjoyment purposes, but also a typical bodybuilding diet is low fiber, and you don't get a lot of fruits, you don't get a lot of vegetables. And the problem with that is that you won't get a lot of potassium, magnesium, all your other trace minerals too. But for one, potassium is very important for glycogen storage. When you store glycogen, there's a potassium attached along with that. Magnesium is important for insulin and glucose metabolism. And then we also have sodium too. So with it being hotter now in Texas and my fluid is up to 2 gallons per day, I'm now adding a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to all my meals. So, and then we have all the health aspects around higher potassium, magnesium intakes, need for nerve transmission, muscle contractility, so many functions that these things are for, and a lot of them come from your fruits and vegetables. So that's why you'll see a lot of the things that are in my plan. But anyway, meal number one, what we have here, 270 grams of egg white, 50 grams of spinach, 50 grams of asparagus. I've had this fiber tortilla in place, so it is pretty high in fiber. That's just standard what I'm going to have. It's more of what I put, and there is like a no sugar added fiber-based peach jam on it, which basically I like put my egg on it and eat it like a flatbread thing. 50 grams of blueberries. Then we'll also have 50 grams of oats. Now this is an oat powder that I make, a little bit of baking powder, so it kind of fluffs up. I let it sit here while I go do my walk. This also has 20 grams of animal whey cinnamon bun in it for the flavor aspect. 30 grams of pumpkin and some cinnamon and stevia. So that is meal one. Comes out to be 525 calories, 55 grams of protein, 62 grams of carbs, and 6 grams of fat. So we'll have 5 meals total for a day. We're going to bump carbohydrate up across the day. We'll see you at the next meal. All right, meal 2 is up now, and this is going to be one of the smaller meals I do during the day. They're normally just meat and vegetables nearly on my other non-train days. So in this meal, we have 170 grams of chicken breast, 70 grams of white rice. I end up making just a tiny little bowl of rice for the day. And you'll see there's quite a bit of like veggies variety. So I buy like a mixed bag veggie pack that comes with has like green beans and water chestnuts, carrots, broccoli. Oh, what else is in here? I think that's it. Oh shit, just lost a piece of broccoli. I think there's some like red pepper, bell pepper flakes. I added in a little bit of spinach too, so some good veggie variety within this. And then I have 300 grams of strawberries. So I know people are gonna think like, this is the weakest refeed day I've ever seen, but just know my food has been very low. So already doubling the carb amount, I just need to see the response first, and then I can make adjustments from there. What I don't want is get overly aggressive, bring my body weight up too high, then I have so long to pull it back down. Because what I can always do tomorrow is repeat the refeed day. That's the easy one. The harder one is eating too much, then what do you do? So, and keep in context that I still need to get down to 212. So the purpose of this refeed day is to bring food up enough to where I get a little bit of glycogen, have some good training days, but also I'm not looking to get up 3-4 pounds of body weight and get super full. I can't do that for the context of what I'm doing for my show. So that's why food is kind of where it's at. Now, for this meal, we're looking at 456 calories, 60 grams of protein, 44 grams of carbs, and 4 grams of fat. So I haven't added any really fats in. It's going to be a pretty low fat day because the main idea today is raise up carbohydrate. So that is meal number 2. All right, on the road at the tail end of this prep, it really starts taking a lot of time. Get up at 6:30, take all my subs, check-ins, do posing. It's now 8:30, 2 hours later, so still fasting. Let all the good stuff go to work. And out to do my steps, which I have the luxury to do in this beautiful place. But I walk for an hour, so I won't be back till 9:30, so that's 3 hours fasting in the morning before I get meal 1 in. And that way I knock out like 7,500 steps. So people aren't gonna like this. But to be a pro at the highest level, man, it's gonna eat your day away. And if you have a normal 9 to 5, you have a wife and kids, maybe you're coaching people on the side, and then your sleep tanks and you're like getting 5 hours sleep a night, you're not gonna be even close to as good as what you could be. So think like, oh man, I don't want my preps going wrong. I'm not, pro level condition. Like, coach, I'm following the plan. It's like, you could follow the plan, but your lifestyle is not even set up to be your best. So you're always going to have a governor on you. And don't get me wrong, people can do it, but that other version of you, where you have the job, where you can work part-time during prep, you can scale it back as you go. Maybe you don't have kids. You have everything set up to be the best bodybuilder you can be. That version of you is better. Hands down, either way. So if this is something you want to do as a career to be the best, it should be a constant pursuit to set up that lifestyle routine that's perfect for bodybuilding. And that's what I've been doing. But again, this is me as a professional, as a career level bodybuilder. That might not be you watching it yet. But again, that's the idea. And know, I say this to know and realize the limitations of the lifestyle component in this is huge. If that the stress of the daily grind, it's fucking dogs. The lack of sleep is vastly impactful to your progress to getting stage lean and holding tissue. But anyway, we'll get this 1 hour walk in. We'll go over the setup for the refeed day that we're gonna do here shortly. I wanna add on to this that People are like, well, you're just lucky, John, you know, not all of us can do it like that. Fuck that. This is not about luck. I had to work 2 jobs, was going to school at the same time, still being a bodybuilder, just like you probably, or whoever else is out there that you talk to, having a grind, getting up, setting the alarm, not sleeping in, and working my ass off to get to this point and know that there's a better life out there for me. There's a better life out there for you. If you want it, that person that you're like, oh, they're lucky, CEO of the company, pro level bodybuilder. Nothing's handed out here. You work your ass off for it. So if that's what you want, don't say it's lucky. Go get it. Go take it. No one's handing out stuff in this life. So you set the alarm, you grind, and you get to where you want to be. And that's where I'm at now, to be able to do this how I want to. Motivation speech for the YouTube channel. Grind champion. Okay, meal 3. It's midday. I just went outside. I was cold in my office. Went outside for my step count. It's 100 degrees outside. It is warm. Ended up just stripping down as I was out there. You can see the heat kicking in and getting grainy. But anyway, we're at meal 3. So nearly a repeat of that last meal that I had. It is 100 and keep throwing food out of this bowl. I don't know what I'm doing. 170 grams of chicken breast. That same vegetable medley that I had last time, 150 grams of that, and 70 grams of rice. Then we're gonna do 200 grams of peaches along with it. So this meal will total up to 456 calories, 60 grams of protein, 44 grams of carbs, and 4 grams of fat. Nothing too exciting yet. Idea for y'all, Renee, since we're on prep, we just think about food and what we'll maybe eat in the off season. YouTube series, I'm gonna pitch this idea. You let me know below if you think we should do it. It's called Feed the Jewets. And what we'll do is we'll travel around to different cities. We'll meet up with some fellow pro friends and we'll go to some top restaurants in that city so you can see what to eat when we travel. So like, we'll go to Austin for barbecue, or when we go to Chicago, we'll look at like pizza places and just have fun conversation, but also show you some eats. If you think that's cool, let us know and we'll totally do it. We'll make shirts, we'll go all in. But anyway, this is meal 3. Okay, so now we're at meal 4 and we have some good variety here. So I have my normal salad that I do every single night of prep. This is 200 grams of lettuce and about 50 grams of tomato and some cucumber and onion. I did get 5 pieces of shrimp sashimi, which were tiny. They gave me these little baby shrimp. But anyway, I weighed them out. It ended up being, 39 grams of cooked shrimp. So add that in my salad. I'm going to use some J3U's Polynesian sauce on this. Then I'll still have 200 grams of strawberries. And a nice treat for the night is some nigiri. So I take these apart, I weigh them. Each little piece of rice is 25 grams. So you're looking at 200 grams total of sushi rice. Then each piece of fish weighed out to be on average 20 grams. So when we add this all up for the meal, we end up coming to 568 calories, 56 grams of protein, 78 grams of carbs, and 3.5 grams of fat. So this will be meal number 4, a fun treat. It's all accounted for, and that will be it for the meal. All right, the final meal of my massive refeed day. I feel like I'm gonna get made fun of because of how like bikini my refeed meals were today. But I already explained them, so I'll, tomorrow when I wake up, I'll assess the visuals. We'll see where body weight's at, and again, like I said, I can always add more in. But anyway, this meal, it's one you've seen before, and it's such a favorite of mine too. It is my brownie oat cake and our Ninja Creamy ice cream. So what we have here, get a Ninja Creamy if you don't have one. Code J310. I don't have a code for them, but I should. It's 1 scoop of animal vanilla whey, 240 mils of unsweetened cashew milk, 2 packets of stevia, and in this one, we added some coconut extract and almond extract. So, coconut almond vanilla ice cream. Oat cake, been through the recipe before, but it is 50 grams of oat flour, some baking powder, 2 stevia packets, 30 grams of pumpkin, it's 30 grams of brownie batter, animal whey, and 20 grams of egg white. That gives you that puffy cake texture. On top, we have 5 grams of peanut butter and 10 grams of Pride butter by the same people that do rice and grinds, Pride Foods. Man, their salted chocolate, it's an almond butter, coconut butter mix. It is quality stuff. So mix that around on the top. And we wrap up this meal macro being at 565 calories, 50 grams of protein, 49 grams of carbs, and 18 grams of fat. So that is going to complete, again, my massive refeed day. So the totals for the day came out to be 2,566 calories, 280 grams of protein, 280 grams of carbs, and 36 grams of fat. So, like I said, I know that's not high for a refeed day, but this is my off day coming up from, I'm right around 170 grams of carbs. So, for not moving a lot during the day, it's a good increase to assess tomorrow. So, thank you for tuning in. We will look for the update when we're 3 weeks out. I should be extra skin and bones, hopefully still muscle left, and I'll see you next week.